Hello, for today's math lesson, you will need a pencil and then you will need your small math book. Today is going to be the last day that we're going to review some of the things that we've been talking about in geometry. So lines, shapes, lines of symmetry. So I'm going to have you complete one page from your small math book, and then you're going to either take a picture of it and send it to me, or you can send it to me through this email. So in your small math book, it's page 203. You're going to be completing the front and the back. So 203 and 204. So this is your small math, like the practice math book. The first three, I kind of did them for you, or I'll talk about them a little bit because it's going to be hard for you to draw a picture if you're sending this through an email. So I want you to take a look at page 203 and take a look at number 1. So 1, 2, and 3 on this, you had to draw a picture of whatever it's asking you to do. So number 1, it's asking you to draw an acute angle. I'm just going to review what those terms mean. So remember, an acute angle means it's smaller than a right angle. So a right angle we talked about is a line like this and then going up like this, and it kind of makes that corner. So an acute angle will be smaller than that. Then 2, it says QR and it has a line above it. That is asking you just to draw a line and then label it using those letters. So using Q and R. And then number 3, this is called a ray, where there's an arrow just on one side, and it says ray TS. Now, if you're sending this to me through a picture, you can just do these as I've done them up here, or I'm just gonna have you skip that part when you do the email, if you're responding to me in the email. But for number 3, it's ray TS. So you would draw a line and just have one arrow on one of the sides and label it TS. The rest of it you're going to be doing for homework. And like I said, this is the last review, and then we're going to be talking about measurement. That's the next chapter in math. So you're going to be completing the rest of the front side and the back side. So let me kind of go through the directions so you know how to do these. So each of these is divided up into the lesson. So this said lesson 10.1. This says lesson 10.2, 10.3. That stands for the lesson that we had in the big math book. So if you're unsure how to do one of these and you've watched a video or you've looked back, you can go, it says the exact lesson. It doesn't say the page number, but you can just go back. So this would be like chapter 10, lesson 2. So you can always go back. So during this, so where it says lesson 2, 10.2, it says classify each triangle, write acute, right, or obtuse. So we talked about different types of triangles. Remember, an acute triangle, all the angles are acute. In a right triangle, you have just one right angle. And in an obtuse triangle, you have just one obtuse angle. So you have to identify those 3. Take a look at 10.3. So I'm moving down here. So follow along as I'm going through the directions. Number 1 says, name 2 streets that appear to be parallel. Remember, we talked about parallel lines, perpendicular lines, intersecting lines. So parallel lines mean that they do not cross. They're the same distance apart from each other. So think about lines that are like this or like this. They're never going to cross. So you're taking a look at that map, kind of that picture that's right there. What 2 names of streets will never cross? So they're parallel lines. You're writing those 2 names on the line for number 1. Number 2, what streets appear to be perpendicular? Remember, if you don't remember what either of those terms mean, you can always go back. At the bottom, so I'm on 10.4, 1 and 2, you're classifying each one of those shapes in as many ways as you can. So when we talked about that chapter, we learned that you can identify things as more than one. Like if they're both quadrilaterals, and then what else are they? In that lesson, they also showed you pictures that helps you to identify those. So you can turn back and look at that if you need help with that. Then on the back side, 1, 2, and 3, tell if the dashed line appears to be a line of symmetry. Write yes or no. We seem to have a pretty good understanding about lines of symmetry and symmetrical shapes. So on those 3 lines, you're just writing yes or no. 1, 2, and 3, it says, does the design have line symmetry? Write yes or no. So number 1, Is there a way that you could draw a line through that object and it would be symmetrical? You would write yes or no. Same with number 2, and then same with number 3. Down here, 10.7. These are both problems dealing with patterns. So it says, Sonyam on number 1 made a pattern. The first 9 shapes are shown below. Describe the pattern. Draw what might be the next 3 shapes in Sonia's pattern. So take a look at that. It's asking you what the next 3 are. So if you're just responding to me in the email, you can just describe it to me. Is it going to be a circle? Is it going to be a diamond? And then you have to describe it. So